I am the Wanderer of Vega-9, and this is the story of my wish. They used to call Vega-9 a jewel of the outer belt, a world half sand, half sky, and all secrets. From orbit, it shimmered like a copper coin caught in starlight, but up close, the dunes stretched endlessly, glowing faintly with minerals that fed the great energy wells below. I was born beneath those dunes, in a mining outpost so small the stars outnumbered the people by 1,000 to 1. My days began with the hum of drills and the taste of iron dust on my tongue. The company said the ore we pulled was older than time, crystal veins left behind by a vanished civilization. We called it star glass. When refined, it powered ships, cities, even dreams. But to me, it was just something that cut your gloves and burned your lungs. I never believed in legends. My mother used to tell me stories about the djinn of the stars, spirits that granted wishes to those who listened to the wind between the dunes. She said every storm carried voices of travelers lost in the sand, whispering the secrets of the universe. I would laugh and tell her the only thing whispering out there was the static from the power grids. She'd smile anyway, like she knew something I didn't. Years later, after she was gone and the company replaced her job with a machine, I found myself wandering the desert at night just to hear that same wind. Maybe I missed her voice. Maybe I was just tired of the noise underground. The night it happened, I'd gone farther than I ever had, beyond the marked zones where the dunes turned black with magnetite. My scanner blinked low power, and my water gauge flashed red. I should have turned back, but something on the horizon kept shining like a heartbeat. Every few steps it pulsed brighter, calling me closer. When I reached it, I found not a rock or a flare, but a sphere half buried in sand, smooth, metallic, etched with faint runes that glowed when I touched them. It was warm, almost alive. The moment my glove brushed it, my visor filled with static, and a voice, not human, not machine, spoke inside my head. One wish for one truth. Speak. I stumbled back, convinced the heat had fried my comms. "Who's there?" I shouted. The dunes swallowed my voice. Only the wind answered. But the sphere pulsed again, and the voice returned. Calm, ancient, certain. Wish, and you will see. I thought of running. Then I thought of my life, of the endless tunnels, the quotas, the loneliness of breathing recycled air. What harm could a hallucination do? So I whispered the first thing that came to me. I wish to be free. The light surged, blinding. For a heartbeat, I felt weightless, like the sand beneath me had fallen away. Then everything went dark. When I opened my eyes, I was floating above Vega-9. The planet curved below me, golden and immense. My suit was gone, but I could breathe. Stars burned brighter than I'd ever seen, and threads of energy flowed between them like rivers. I reached out, and one of those threads wrapped around my wrist, warm, alive, pulsing with memory. Images poured into my mind, ancient cities carved into meteorites, towers built from living metal, beings of light shaping worlds with thought alone. A voice whispered again, "Freedom is not the absence of bonds, but the choice of them." I didn't understand. I reached for another thread, trying to hold on, but the stars began to dissolve, and I fell, down, through clouds of dust and lightning, until I crashed back onto the desert floor. The sphere lay beside me, half open like a flower. Inside shimmered a crystal no bigger than my thumb, glowing with the same light as before. The hallucination, or whatever it was, had left me shaken. But the crystal was real, solid, humming softly. I pocketed it and trudged home before dawn painted the dunes blood red. Back at the outpost, the scanners went wild. The crystal's energy signature was off every scale. The chief engineer, a thin man named Halleck, nearly fainted when he saw it. "Do you know what this is?" he stammered. "It's pure star glass. Unrefined, untouched. This could power the whole sector." The company offered me more credits than I'd ever dreamed of. Enough to buy my own ship, enough to leave Vega-9 forever. But when I looked at the crystal, something in me hesitated. It pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat. My heartbeat. That night, while the others celebrated, I sat alone in the observation dome. The crystal rested on the table, glowing softly. I asked it, half joking, "Is this what freedom looks like?" The light flickered. For a second, I thought I heard that voice again. Freedom is the beginning of truth. I didn't sleep. By morning, I'd made my decision. I turned down the company's offer, packed my gear, and headed toward the central launch hub. The only thing I took with me was the crystal and my mother's old compass, a useless relic on a world where everything was magnetized, but it reminded me of direction. The launch hub was a city unto itself, a hive of ships, traders, and wanderers chasing fortunes among the stars. I spent half my credits buying passage on a small freighter called the Nomad's Promise, captained by a woman who didn't ask questions. When she saw the crystals glow through my jacket, she just said, "Whatever that is, keep it close. The void eats the careless." We left Vega-9 behind, and for the first time, I saw my world shrink to a point of light. I should have felt free, but instead I felt hollow, like I'd left part of myself buried in the sand. Days turned into weeks. The freighter drifted between stations, trading goods and gossip. I tried to lose myself in the routine, but strange things kept happening. Instruments flickered when I walked by. My dreams filled with whispers in languages I didn't know. Sometimes I'd wake to find the crystal floating an inch above the table, spinning slowly, humming a tune that felt like a heartbeat in reverse. The captain noticed. "You're marked by something," she said one night over recycled tea. "You carry a story that's not done with you yet." I wanted to laugh, but the look in her eyes stopped me. "Ever hear of the Jinn?" I asked quietly. She nodded. "Every child in the Rim has. They're what we call the anomalies that think. Some say they grant wishes. Others say they test souls." "Maybe both," I murmured. Her gaze drifted to the window where stars crawled past like slow rain. "Be careful what you wish for, Wanderer. The stars always listen." After that night, I began to keep a journal. If the crystal was changing me, I wanted a record. At first, it was small things, dreams that predicted engine failures, flashes of insight about navigation routes. Then one day, while repairing an external relay, I slipped, falling toward the blackness below. Instead of panic, I felt calm. The crystal flared in my pocket, and I stopped falling. I was suspended in midair, a few meters above the hull, held by invisible threads of light. When my boots touched metal again, I knew what the voice had meant. Freedom wasn't leaving Vega-9. It was realizing I was never bound by it. I told no one. Who would believe me? But from that moment on, I could sense things. Currents in the void, flows of energy between stars. The captain started calling me Seer, half-jokingly, because I could plot safe routes through storm belts before scanners detected them. We grew close, the crew and I. For a while, I thought I'd found what I'd wished for, a place where I belonged. But fate, as always, has a sense of irony. It happened near the Red Verge, a region haunted by debris and legends. Our sensors picked up a distress signal from a derelict cruiser drifting in silence. Company protocol said ignore it, but the captain's conscience, and mine, said otherwise. We docked. The air inside was thin and cold. Frost coated the walls. The signal came from the bridge, where a lone figure sat slumped over the controls. As I approached, my visor displayed an energy reading identical to the crystals. The figure wasn't human. It was a construct, humanoid but ancient, its chest cavity open and empty. Etched into its armor were the same runes I'd seen on the sphere in the desert. A plaque on the console read, Wishmaker Unit 01. And in that moment, I understood. Whatever I'd found on Vega-9 wasn't unique. It was part of something larger, a network of ancient machines that once listened to the desires of living beings. The true Wishmaker had been here long before me. Before I could tell the others, the lights flared crimson. The ship's dormant systems roared to life. A voice echoed through the corridors, deep, resonant, familiar. One wish for one truth. The same words, the same tone. Only this time, the voice wasn't in my head. It filled the ship like thunder. The captain shouted for retreat, but the doors sealed shut. The construct's eyes ignited, flooding the bridge with blinding light. The crystal in my pocket pulsed an answer. Then everything dissolved into white. When the light cleared, I wasn't on the bridge anymore. I stood in a vast hall of mirrors, each pane reflecting a different sky. Some showed deserts of violet sand, others oceans that glowed from beneath. In every reflection I saw myself. Older, younger, sometimes not human at all. Each version looked back at me with the same question in their eyes. What did you wish for? The voice rolled through the air again, softer now, patient. One wish for one truth. Speak. I found my breath. I already made my wish, I said. Freedom. And what have you done with it? The mirrors rippled. In one I saw the miner, still digging. In another, the wanderer on the freighter. In another, someone else entirely, standing before a crowd leading them. "I don't know," I whispered. "Then your truth is not yet earned." The floor beneath me turned to liquid light. I fell, slowly this time, like sinking into memory. When I landed, I was back on Vega-9. Only it wasn't the same. The mines were silent. The outpost lay in ruins. Sandstorms had buried the domes, leaving only the skeletal frames of what once was. At first, I thought it was an illusion, but the air smelled of rust and salt, just like home. I walked among the wreckage until I found my old cabin half buried. Inside, my mother's compass still lay on the table, its needle trembling. I picked it up, and the voice of the wishmaker came again, distant as wind. Freedom without wisdom is exile. Something moved in the corner of the room, a shadow, then another. Figures stepped forward, cloaked in dust and light. They looked like people but shimmered like heat mirages. "Who are you?" I asked. "We are the echoes of wishes unfulfilled," one replied. "Every desire left unfinished becomes a ghost that haunts the dreamer." They surrounded me, hundreds of them, miners, traders, wanderers, all with the same hollow eyes. "We wished for more," they murmured. "More life, more power, more meaning. The wishmaker gave us what we asked for and took what we forgot to keep." I clutched the compass tighter. "Then what do you want from me?" "To finish the wish," said the first. "To learn what freedom truly means." The crystal in my pocket blazed. The ghosts recoiled as its light spread, filling the cabin, the dunes, the sky. I felt warmth surge through my chest, not from fear but recognition. The crystal wasn't some alien artifact. It was a fragment of the wishmaker itself, a piece that had chosen me. The ground shook. From the horizon, a storm rose, towering golden, alive. Lightning arced between the clouds in shapes that looked almost like script. The ghosts melted into the wind, their voices blending with the thunder. "Find the heart of the star." Then the world folded again. I awoke on the freighter's deck, coughing, the captain kneeling beside me. "Seer, talk to me," she said, shaking my shoulder. "You were out cold. The ship, it's been dead for hours. What happened?" I looked around. The crew hovered near the door, pale and silent. The bridge systems flickered weakly, running on emergency power. The construct we'd found was gone. So was the derelict ship. Only the stars remained, serene and distant. "I don't know," I said finally, though part of me did. "But we're alive. Let's get out of here." We limped away from the red verge, engines coughing like tired beasts. The captain didn't press me for answers, but I saw the questions in her eyes. The crew kept their distance. Only the stars seemed to whisper like they knew something the living did not. That night, alone in my bunk, I held the crystal up to the viewport. It pulsed once, and for an instant, the reflection staring back wasn't mine. It was the face of the construct, the wishmaker unit, with eyes full of endless patience. I spoke quietly. "You showed me my world dying. Was it real?" "Every choice births a future," the voice replied. "You saw one of them. Then tell me what you want from me." "To remember." "Remember what?" "That creation and desire are the same force. What you wish, you build. What you fear, you chain." The crystal dimmed. The connection faded. I didn't sleep again. Instead, I watched Vega-9's star drift past until dawn. By morning, the captain announced our next destination, a research station orbiting a dead moon called Alira. She hoped to trade repairs for fuel. I followed because there was nowhere else to go, and because something inside me whispered that the path mattered more than the goal. Alira was a husk, half rock, half memory. The station circled it like a silver ring, flickering with weak lights. When we docked, a single caretaker greeted us, an old android whose voice clicked with static. "Welcome, travelers," it said. "You bring the light." The words chilled me. "What did you say?" "You bring the light," it repeated, then turned and led us through empty halls. The station was filled with relics, fragments of star glass, broken drones, carvings of constellations I didn't recognize. At the center stood a chamber lined with mirrors, the same kind I'd seen in the vision. My pulse quickened. "Captain, I think I've been here before." She frowned. "That's impossible. This place has been abandoned for centuries." But when I stepped into the chamber, the mirrors came alive, glowing with faint light. The reflections shifted, not of me, but of Vega-9, alive and thriving. Children played in the dunes. Miners sang beneath the stars. And in the middle of it all stood my mother, smiling, holding out her compass. I reached toward the glass. The surface rippled, warm against my fingertips. "Is this real?" I whispered. Her voice came, soft and clear. "Only if you believe it enough to make it so." The mirrors shattered. The shockwave threw me back. Alarms blared. The captain shouted orders, but I barely heard them. Amid the shards, the crystal hovered, blazing brighter than ever. Its light poured into the walls, into the circuits, into me. I saw everything at once. The network of wishmakers scattered across the galaxy, the threads of energy linking them, the memories of every being who had ever made a wish. The realization struck like lightning. The wishmakers weren't gods or machines of magic. They were repositories of hope, ancient devices designed to record the universe's deepest desires and return them as lessons. Each wish wasn't granted. It was answered. My vision blurred. The station groaned, power surging through every corridor. The captain's voice cut through the chaos. "Seer, what's happening?" I could barely form words. "It's waking up." The android caretaker's eyes flared. The heart of the star has found its keeper. Before I could ask what that meant, the floor split open, revealing a core of molten light. The crystal in my hand leapt toward it, fusing with the energy below. I felt it pulling at me, not to destroy, but to join, to complete what had begun in the desert of Vega-9. The captain grabbed my arm. "Don't do it!" "I have to," I said. "This is what it's been leading to." She shook her head. "You don't owe the stars anything." I smiled faintly. Maybe not, but maybe they owe us the truth. Then I stepped into the light. The light didn't burn. It breathed. It wrapped around me like the warmth of a sunrise that had been waiting for ages. My body dissolved into weightless color, and for the first time I understood what it meant to become rather than to move. Every thought turned into a ripple across the sea of brightness. I felt Vega-9's star beating somewhere inside the same rhythm. I wasn't apart from it anymore. I was one small note in its endless song. 1,000 memories unfolded. I saw the first miners who came to Vega-9, not with greed, but with wonder. They whispered their wishes into the sand and believed the planet listened. I saw the first wishmaker being buried beneath the dunes, not as a trap, but as a promise, a way for the future to remember the dreams of the past. And I saw myself, years ago, standing in the same dunes, clutching a broken compass and hoping for something more than survival. The loop closed around me like a slow breath. The voice of the wishmaker came again, but this time it wasn't outside of me. It spoke through my own pulse. "Now you understand. A wish is not a plea. It's the seed of creation." I thought of every face I'd seen, the ghosts in the mirrors, the crew who followed me, the mother who once told stories by lamplight. "Then what happens now?" I asked. "You choose what story to tell next." Below me, the molten light shaped itself into a doorway made of dust and constellations. Beyond it lay a corridor that stretched through the heart of the moon, out into the dark between stars. Each step I took reshaped the corridor, stone becoming glass, glass becoming sky. When I reached the end, the void opened wide, but it wasn't empty. Rivers of light flowed between worlds like golden veins. The network of wishmakers shimmered, each one a heartbeat in the great body of the cosmos. And I realized something simple, humbling. They were never here to grant anything. They existed to listen, to remind us that our desires are the first sparks of what might someday be. The voice faded, replaced by silence. I felt gravity return, gentle and grounding. When the light dimmed, I found myself lying on a dune under Vega-9's sky. The air smelled of iron and rain. The stars looked close enough to touch. The freighter's silhouette hovered on the horizon, engines humming softly. The captain ran toward me, calling my name. Her boots kicked up sand that glittered like powdered glass. "By the sun, Seer! You vanished!" she said, pulling me to my feet. "The whole station imploded. We thought you were gone." "I was?" I said, voice trembling with the strange calm that follows revelation. "But I found what I was looking for." She searched my face. "And what was that? An ending that becomes a beginning." I opened my hand. The crystal was gone. In its place was the compass, my mother's, whole again. The needle spun once, then fixed toward the sky. The captain followed its point. "What now?" "We rebuild," I said. "Not just Vega-9. Everywhere. The wishmakers aren't machines to fear. They're teachers. If we remember what we truly want, we can shape the worlds ourselves." She looked uncertain, but there was light in her eyes. "You think people will listen?" They always do, I said, once someone begins the story. We watched the dawn spill over the dunes. The storm that had haunted the horizon was gone, replaced by calm skies streaked with amber. In the quiet, I heard the faintest hum, the heartbeat of the planet, alive again. Days later, as we lifted off, I looked down at Vega-9 one last time. The sands had shifted, forming a pattern that glowed like an enormous sigil, the same symbol etched on the Wishmaker's hull. It pulsed once, as if waving farewell. The freighter cut through the atmosphere, leaving trails of silver behind. The captain set a new course, and for the first time in my life, I didn't ask where we were going. I didn't need to. The compass lay steady on the console, pointing not north or south, but outward toward the infinite. That night, I sat by the viewport again, the stars drifting past like embers. I spoke softly, not sure who might hear. To anyone who still listens among the stars, every wish matters. Every dream is a doorway. The universe doesn't give, it echoes, and if you speak with an open heart, it will answer. Somewhere, faint and warm, a voice replied, "Then tell them, Wanderer. Tell them all." So I will. I'll tell the story of Vega-9, of the Wishmaker, of the ghosts that learned to dream again. I'll tell of the day I stopped searching for miracles and became one instead. And maybe, when the next traveler stands beneath an alien sky and whispers a wish into the wind, they'll hear the echo of this tale and remember that the light we seek has always been our own.